All right, welcome back to another video with Sir Lucian on Sir Lucian's gaming channel. And I wanted to talk about an announcement that came out from Paizo talking about they're about to start their Pathfinder 2nd edition playtest. So they made the announcement today, which was March 6th, and they did mention that the playtest will officially launch on August 2nd, which happens to be the same dates as if you're going out to Gen Con 2018. I went ahead and went over to their website. So they kind of announced it, I saw on Twitter. I'm sure they've announced it in many other places also. And from the Twitter post you could go to, they talked about going to paizo.com/Pathfinder playtest, which is the web page that they have set up for it. And from there you can get quite a bit of information. So from what I was reading, and I just thought I would do a quick video on this because it sounded very interesting. I'm always intrigued by getting in on a game's playtest or helping out with a game before it releases. Beta tests, alpha tests, whatever you want to call them. I'm fascinated by the design process of any type of game, whether it's role-playing games, computer games, board games, whatever it might be. Just game design in general is one of those things that fascinates me. And looking at this, so just kind of going through their webpage, it was interesting to me to see if maybe this would be something that the audience would be interested in seeing on the channel. It was maybe there's some people out there that are looking for information, haven't heard about it yet, so I thought we'd make this quick little video. So it looks like Paizo was talking about it was in 2008 when they released their Pathfinder game. And they talked about how much experience they had with playing Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 and how they kind of took that experience that they had and then turned it into building their game. And now that we're 10 years later, basically a decade, that they felt that it was time to go ahead and do a Pathfinder 2nd edition. And they feel like the difference between what they were designers back in 2008 and the types of designers they are now, they have a lot more experience. They have a lot better handle on putting out high-end content, and they have plenty of books and things that they put out for Pathfinder 1st edition, that it was kind of time to go ahead and put out a 2nd edition. So some of the features that you're going to see, they have a list here, and again, you can check it out on the website. I'll put the link in the video description. But some of the Pathfinder playtest features were, they just have these listed here, 10th level spells and 4 spell lists, archetypes and multi-classing sounds like it's a big thing. One of the things they kind of point out in their video that they also have a video that you can go watch, talks about how it seems like everybody uses archetypes now as it was a supplement in their advanced player's handbook, if I read that correctly, and that allowed more customization of the character. Now, I'll be honest, I was a 3.5 player. I think I might have played in one game of Pathfinder, so I'm not big up on what the rules are in the current 1st edition. And sometimes, people might say, well, you didn't play 1st edition, so, how could you possibly test a 2nd edition or have an opinion that matters? And the idea is that in some ways you're right. I mean, you want to have testers that understand the material, understand where it's coming from and where they're trying to go to. But you also need to have a mix of users and players who are going to come at it fresh, because you want their opinion. You're trying to grow your game. You're going to have many new people to the game if you put out a new game like this. And you also want it to be play tested by people who have never seen Pathfinder, who have never played Pathfinder. So if you're thinking about helping out in the playtest, if you're a veteran of Pathfinder and you're excited about hearing about Pathfinder 2nd edition, then maybe you'll help out in the playtest also. Or even if you're never played but it interests you now as you read it, don't let that discourage you because you haven't played. You could definitely be one of the people that could help playtest also. So classic monsters and magic, combat maneuvers, easier to play, Galorian infused, innovative initiative, which sounds interesting. Maybe they're going to change up how initiative works a little bit. New background system, production value, and I think that kind of leads towards their idea that they have a much better sense of how to put a book together, how to format it properly, how to design it, how to lay it out a lot better than they did back in 2008. rebalanced magic items, streamlined proficiencies. It's staying true to the Pathfinder as they see it. They're adding the Alchemist in the core book. There are classes that got added after the core book, and it looks like they're going to put this one in the core book. There are changes to the classes, a clean modular information-based design, designed for all levels of play, so still from 1 to 20. Goblin has become a player character, so the race Goblin. Heroic storytelling, more customization. Pathfinder Society is going to follow along with this also, which is very similar to the Dungeons & Dragons Adventure League. So it's kind of like the living campaign that they do seasons of. Race changes and feats, simplified actions, support, and they still have Wayne Reynolds art, which actually is... There's one thing that I can say that always draws my eye to Pathfinder books in supplements is the art. I mean, they have that down pat. They have a very specific look. It's a look that catches my eye every time. It always evokes imagination when I think about it, and stories, and me wanting to know more about what's going on in those pictures. So they definitely have the art department nailed down. So what was interesting to me, and you might say, well, you know, there's lots of new games coming out, lots of new RPGs, and we haven't really done many videos on them, and, you know, maybe I will start doing that, but I thought I would do this one because this one really struck me as something that was interesting. You're going to be able to pre-order the playtest materials, and when you go and look at the playtest material, you can pre-order the Pathfinder Playtest Rulebook, the Pathfinder Playtest Adventure, which was called Doomsday Dawn, and the Pathfinder Playtest Flip Mat Multipack, which is, looks like it's a book that's made of a bunch of maps used for putting your minis on and putting your, you know, tactical maps down, 24 by 30 inch maps that I think they're folded up when they're all together, but unfolded, they're 24 by 30. What does it also say about those? Determine the feature. Pathfinder, the map's erasable surface can handle any dry erase, wet erase, or even permanent marker, which is interesting. The playtest rulebook is a 400-page rulebook when you look at it, and the Doomsday is a 96-page super adventure containing 7 multi-encounter scenarios designed to introduce the new rules and put them to the ultimate test on your game table. So I think what that is they want to make sure that you test characters through a certain band of, or a certain range of levels. So this adventure, Doomsday Dawn, will be able to take you through all those different tiers so that they can get all their testing in from 1 to 20, basically. Which is interesting to me, because when you look at the artwork on this webpage, these are books. These are like hardcover, printed out, almost look like finished edition books, and yet they're going to be the playtest books. They have a price on them when you go to the pre-order page, and I want to make sure that I point out that the PDF editions of the Pathfinder Playtest Rulebook, whether it's the softcover, Playtest Adventure, the Playtest Flip Map, and the actual rulebook itself, those will all be free to download off of paizo.com starting on August 2nd. So the PDF versions of those will be accessible to people that go to the website on August 2nd. But you do have an ability to order a print edition of the player test rulebook, and that's going to be in softcover $29.99, hardcover $44.99, and deluxe hardcover $59.99. Then they're also going to have prices for the print edition of the Player's Adventure, $24.99, and the Flip Map Multi-Pack, that's hard to say all together, is priced at $24.99. So, yeah, that's 60 and 100, or 50, 60 and 50. So $110 if you're going to buy the deluxe hardcover printed and both the Play Adventure and the Flip Mat Multi-Pack, which is all the test version of the game. And that was something I hadn't seen before, where you could buy the test rules as if they're an actual book. Printed hardcover, full art, whole 9 yards, 400-page book, big. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So you'll have to decide, you know, how much of a fan of Pathfinder you are. And what's interesting to me is that, let's say once you buy those, it's clear that this is a play test. It's clear that once the play test's over, they're going to make the official version of the rulebook. The core rulebook is what it sounds like they'll call it. The adventure and probably the Flip Mat Multi-Pack, which I'm guessing means the play test rules will no longer be valid, I think. unless they put out something that these are pretty close. But if they're going to be doing a playtest, that obviously means you want feedback. And if you want feedback, that means you're willing to make changes. And if you're willing to make changes, that means eventually those playtest version books won't actually be usable, I think. So you'll have to kind of think about that. Maybe it's still worth it to you to have, you know, those just for the artwork itself, just to help them with their company, and maybe just to have it is to say, hey, I did the playtest and here's my deluxe or hardcover version of that. I'm probably, for me, am definitely interested in the PDF editions for free so that I could test the game and maybe give, you know, valid feedback. I'm not quite sure I would be the market to buy playtest material. And as I say that, I'm thinking that would that be interesting? So let's say Wizards of the Coast sent me an email that said, hey, do you want to play test Dungeons and Dragons 6th edition? And if you say yes, do you want to buy a hardcover book for $44? Do you want to buy the playtest adventures we're going to do for $25, basically? Would I do that, or would I just go for the free PDF versions? No, I think I would go for the free PDF versions because I don't really want to buy the books twice, I think. So it's an interesting proposal. It's obvious they're probably doing it because they think they'll sell plenty of them. They're pretty confident that they will not print enough so that they will sell out of whatever number they've set as their total printing. They say that in their video. And so that's kind of interesting that you can do something like that. Also on that same page, if you go down far enough, you will find all of the frequently asked questions or the fact file down at the bottom. And it does talk about a lot of stuff like, they answer basic stuffs about like, why are you doing it? Is this going to affect any of their other products like Starfinder, anything like that? How long are they going to continue to print out first edition stuff? It also goes into playtesting itself. You know, what is the rule book? What is the adventure? What is the flip map? Where can you get these things? Talks a little bit about some questions about what's the difference between first edition and second edition. I think that's the big thing that most people will probably come to this part of the webpage to look at first, because they really want to get a sense of what's changing from first edition to second edition. What's the main differences? Does the new version find a better balance between spellcasters and martial characters? Did you fix my problem with Pathfinder? Does the game still use miniatures? Those kinds of things. Will you be converting existing Pathfinder books? Then down a little further, you're going to find playtest and feedback. You know, how will the playtest work? Is there a way to play before August 2nd? That's an interesting one. I'll point that one out. You are going to be able to see some of this stuff before August 2nd. In fact, the very first time you can see this possibly could be this weekend. They're going to be at a number of conventions. GaryCon is one of them, which is March 8th through 11th in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So that's going to be the first time that I think people start to see what they've got cooking here. They're also going to be at PaizoCon in Seattle. They're going to be at the UK Games Expo in June in Birmingham, UK. They're going to be at Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio. They'll be at another PaizoCon in the UK in Birmingham again, and that's in July. And then obviously August 2nd through 5th at Gen Con. So that's the big one. The next question below it, I like, are you really going to listen to our feedback? Absolutely is the answer. We have a survey system in place that will collect feedback on a weekly basis. It'll be categorized and easily sortable on our end. We'll make sure that voices are heard and tweaks can be made. So you can see some of that. I won't go through all of them, but there's definitely some more in there that you can find out. Talk a little bit about Pathfinder Society organized play, how that'll be affected, what's the campaign setting, how it affects the current campaign setting. Talk about OGL, compatibility, licensing, and community use. If you're a person that's making content for them using the OGL or the compatibility license, how's that going to work? There's some answers there for that. Official licensed products. The adventure card game, is it going to affect that, or is it going to affect Starfinder in any way? So they've got answers to that. Also on that page, there's a playtest blog. It looks like it's an hour and 47-minute video or maybe podcast type thing. I have not listened to it yet, but that's the next thing I'm going to go ahead and take a look at. And then on their on their YouTube page, they have I want to say it's a video that's maybe 4 minutes and 57 seconds, and it is Eric Mona and Jason Bowman who are talking about the announcement. So you can check that out. I'll also put I'll put the link in the description. So those are a couple of things that I noticed. So brand new Pathfinder version coming out. Just wanted to see if maybe people were interested in this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you're Pathfinder players, if you're really excited to hear that there's a second edition, maybe you're not excited to hear that there's a second edition. Maybe you're upset and you just want to have more first edition stuff. Go ahead and just chime in and down in the comments. Let me know what you guys are talking about. I'm sure we'll be talking about this on a couple of our other podcasts and shows, probably even the D&D Saturday morning show. Just to, talk about a little bit whenever we get good news or hear big news. We always try to get it out to you guys. So hopefully that's just a quick little informational for you to go ahead and check it out. Just in case you hadn't heard it. Just want to say thanks for joining. Go ahead and hit that subscribe, hit that like button. And if you want to watch any of our live plays or any of our live shows, go over to twitch.tv/SirLucian. And you can always check me out on Twitter at SirLucian Gaming. That's LUCIEN Gaming. So SirLucian Gaming, all one word. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.